Welcome to FiST Chat, your source for news and discussions in film science and technology, hosted by Steve Kern and Ben Warner. Visit our website at fistchat.com. Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, your vodcast covering discussions on film science and technology. My name's Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks Ben. Hello FiST Chat fans, it's great to be here as always.
Absolutely. After our hiatus from our point of view, although you've been watching our episodes for the past couple of weeks, good to be back again. We'll be recording another 2 episodes today. In mid-February, after all that hot weather, it seems to have settled down a little bit, so it's all good.
We just had record rainfall here in Adelaide.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was nuts. And thankfully for us in Melbourne, it's kind of gone back to something a bit more normal rather than all that hot weather. Now, let's get straight into it today. We've got a bit of a sad story to cover. There's a science angle to it, but as probably most of you know, it made a lot of headlines around the world. The Copenhagen Zoo killed a young male giraffe named Marius just in this past week, and essentially was euthanized for not having the right genes, I think it was, that they were explaining.
That's a pretty bad way of putting it, but that's correct.
Yeah, and the shocking thing that they did with this was, I guess they did it in front of a crowd and essentially fed the carcass to the lions in the habitat, which is just appalling. That seems like out of the Middle Ages or somewhere in deep dark history somewhere, not something you would see in today's world. But just before we get into that sort of thing, just from the science angle, that they're saying that they want good breeding stock, and in order to, I guess, have the right mixture of animals in the zoo and all that sort of thing. Is that sort of feasible? Do you think what they were getting on about there?
Look, they've really messed this situation up very badly. So, and this is something that we need to remember, there aren't that many large wild animals out there anymore in their natural habitats.
Yeah.
So the breeding programs in the zoos are quite limited in terms of the genetic stock that they've got.
Right.
And basically what would have happened with this giraffe is that had they allowed the giraffe to live, they wouldn't have been able to breed because it would have been basically a case of inbreeding. Right,
okay.
So they were faced with a situation where they couldn't breed with him. Potentially, I don't know anything about this zoo or how they run it, but, the idea might be that then you don't really keep an animal in captivity that, can't contribute to the breeding program.
Yeah.
So in that regard, there probably is an argument for euthanasia.
Yeah.
It's no different to, I guess, domestic pets when they go feral or run wild or get lost.
Mm.
But having said that, and I'm not necessarily in favour of this either, but, having said that, perhaps even feeding the giraffe to the lions wasn't such a bad idea either. That would have happened in the wild. I just think that the way they've gone about this is particularly insensitive and just borders on bizarre. It's just,
it's a case of
thinking, or what were they thinking?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. What were they thinking? Let's throw the giraffe to the lions. That won't cause any sort of waves or anything in the public consciousness.
We're saving on lion food this week.
It's just it's not good at all. But was there any sort of if he was bred in sort of captivity to begin with, I guess it would make it difficult for him to be released naturally, because he probably wouldn't be able to survive at any rate.
Wouldn't have a hope. And then the other thing would be that probably the only other hope for the giraffe, and I'm sure the zoo would have explored this, is to find another breeding program.
Mm.
But as I say, the numbers of these animals are so small now that, you run into interbreeding very, very quickly.
Yeah,
so it's just a sad fact. It's a sad fact of what we've done to these animals in their wild habitats that, we've caused these situations in captivity.
Yeah, exactly. So with, I guess when they've got their breeding programs in the zoos and that sort of thing, so they would have. Do they have special, breeders that are across the science of how to, get across that sort of thing, that are sort of dedicated to doing that?
Oh yeah, they would have known. I mean, basically from his lineage, as I say, he's starting off. Maybe he's only come from a very small pool of animals, which almost certainly has. Within that breeding program, unfortunately, you run out of options very quickly, because there's only a certain number of individuals that he could potentially breed with. Not sure, I don't think they've said, but they might have done a DNA test on him and found that from that, he was a higher risk, potentially to either having stillborn offspring, or perhaps, offspring that weren't, particularly healthy.
Yeah.
Or with very good, I guess, constitution. So I don't believe that they would have made that decision lightly. Yeah. So I don't think that, this is just they've been careless in their choice, or haven't thought through why this had to happen. But, as we know, I mean, honestly, to do it in front of an audience of public who in this day and age really don't have the stomach for that sort of thing. It might have been a big hit back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just on that, I mean, the story obviously made headway big time, especially in today's day and age with social media and whatnot. They just kind of spread like wildfire, and everyone was outraged by it across the world.
Yeah.
But what about, obviously it's an issue that zoos around the world would have to deal with. I can't imagine this just being an isolated sort of case, so to speak, because there are lots of zoos around the world, but you never hear of this kind of thing happening, whether it's just that the media didn't pick up on it before of instances like this occurring, or that zoos tend to have a better way of handling these things.
Well, I think most zoos don't basically, kill a giraffe, then chop it up with a chainsaw while the public are
watching,
walking in through the gates.
Yeah.
I guess that to me just strikes me as particularly bizarre.
And I guess it would obviously harm, people's sort of notions of zoos as well. I mean, at the end of the day, animals are being held in captivity, and obviously there are people that are dead set against any of that sort of thing happening at all. But the general public don't tend to sort of see things in that way. And if you see a story like this, it kind of rams home sort of the nastier aspects of that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And, once again, it comes back to that, the fact that now zoos are very much a lifeline for a lot of these animals that we're ruining the habitats of. So it's really, it's a very difficult situation, and this has just been handled very poorly. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything quite this bad since, and you can probably Google this and look it up. I think it's on YouTube, when Edison electrocuted the elephant.
Oh, yeah.
To demonstrate direct current. Yeah,
well, that's not really all that great. He demonstrated it, but...
Yeah, but I mean, this is the equivalent of that. I mean, maybe we can forgive Edison because that was 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you can forgive anyone this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we might move on from that. We've got a couple of news bites we can go through now. So total change of pace and tone. Our film news bite, the Lego movie, a Toy Story every adult needs to see. The Lego film, I'm quite surprised by this actually, because when I first heard they were making it, I thought it was a joke. I couldn't see how they could make a decent film out of toy blocks, but... It's got stellar reviews. It's rated, I think it's around 97% on the RottenTomatoes.com, and usually at that high rating, it usually is good. I mean, you can't always say it always is good, but usually when it has a rating that high, they must have done a decent job. And the Guardian had a review of it where they were basically saying that it was playfully subversive and countercultural. The Lego movie satirizes surveillance culture and our modern-day neoliberal struggles. So perhaps it's one of those kids' films with sort of more adult themes running underneath that maybe kids don't get, but the adults do. For my part, I saw the trailer the other day, and I did like Lego Batman in it, so it's got some charm there.
All I can think of, Ben, is the merchandising. Who's the genius who came up with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a toy commercial, yeah?
Yeah, it's a marketer's dream.
It's just that they had to, maybe that's why they had to make as good a movie as possible, just to offset that notion.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I'll probably end up watching it. I've watched a lot of sort of, I guess, animated films, particularly from Pixar over the last, year or so. I really enjoyed them.
Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our science news bite from theconversation.com. It's Darwin's Day, a celebration of science and reason. Darwin Day, according to the International Darwin Day Foundation, is a global celebration of science and reason held on or around February 12th, the birthday anniversary of evolutionary biologist Charles Darwin. The idea of the celebration arose in 1993 as part of the activities of the Stanford Humanist Community, then headed by biologist Robert Stevens, and in the intervening 21 years it has proliferated with hundreds of events listed in cities around the world. And I guess it's... just from my reading of it, it was sort of unofficial in its way, but it's probably a good thing to do if it kind of highlights the work of Darwin in today's world. I think a lot of his sort of, especially evolutionary theory, is sort of accepted as the thing to follow.
Well, that's right. I mean, unless you believe one of those other theories. No, I mean, it's amazing what Darwin was able to do. For those of us that accept evolution occurred, to us now it's clear, the storylines of evolution are very clear. But for somebody back then to actually sit down and piece it together, I mean, that's a remarkable achievement. So the amount of thought and just understanding that, he put towards origin of the species, is incredible. And it's incredible the way it's changed the world and the way we view ourselves within the world. And
flying in the face of established dogma at the time wouldn't have helped either with trying to put it together. Any normal person would have just put it to the side. This is too much heat for me.
Yeah, that's right. But, I guess that's, where these real breakthroughs occur, where, eventually at some stage, somebody with a, conviction to, push that knowledge and get wider acceptance of it. It's very important. But yeah, I mean, remarkable to think that he pieced the whole concept of evolution together.
Yeah, absolutely, and that it's celebrated now, so it's all good. Now we'll move on to our final news bite, technology news bite. Flappy Bird developer says game was addictive product. This is from AppleInsider.com.
Yeah.
In a series of interviews, the developer of former hit indie game Flappy Bird, Dong Nguyen, said he pulled the title from the iOS App Store because playing the game was so addicting that it became a problem, and he couldn't handle it anymore. I mean, I don't know about you, but it was reported that he was earning about 50 or 60 grand a day in advertising revenue from this game. And he couldn't handle it anymore. I don't know. I reckon I could handle that amount of money coming in on a daily basis. And if it was getting a lot of attention for my work, I'd probably put up with it as well. But I was reading around that a lot of people are smelling a marketing ploy here. That he's pulled it because it's all addictive and whatnot. But maybe he'll just put it back on at some later stage to get everyone fired up, because there's a lot of
with a fee. I believe it's free, isn't it?
Yeah, with and it's got ads. That's where he was making all his money. And the ridiculous thing now is that there's people, because you can't get it on the App Store anymore, that are selling their iPhones and Android phones on eBay with the game installed, so people can get it and getting sort of ridiculous amounts of money for it. It's another example of one of these phenomenons that occur on app stores and with apps. It's quite fascinating, although it did suspiciously look like a Nintendo game to me.
Maybe that's why it's come down. Maybe he's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, the old Flappy Bird. I haven't seen this game. I don't play games on my phone. It's a tool.
Actually, I was on the tram the other day and saw someone playing, and I thought that it was actually Super Mario when I was looking at it, because the bird was flying between, like those pipes that Mario used to jump over. That's why I thought, why did Mario make his way onto the App Store without that any news or whatnot. But no, it turned out it was Flappy Bird.
Maybe he's had a cease and desist from Nintendo. Who knows?
No, possibly. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. So thanks again for the chat.
Anytime, Ben. Tweet us with your favourite digital game.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be plenty out there. And just to wrap up, don't forget our website, FiSTChat.com, so you can get all of our links there. We've got our ebook, The FiST Report, at FiSTReport.com. We've got the 2012 and 2013 editions there available to go. And we've also got our weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr. And if you think anyone's interested in our weekly discussions on film, science and technology, feel free to send them to our website. We'd appreciate that. All right, so that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.